outsiders oppressing us as they are on their way. Neil deGrasse Tyson shouts out, affirming the most befuddling and unfortunate disclosure made by the explorer in the previous 10 years. A disclosure that researchers were not the slightest bit ready for since the Explorer craft sent back this upsetting information from space. The academic community has been unable to rest, and everyone is walking under a tense climate. Analysts, researchers, and specialists have been mobilized from their stations to battle these baffling items that the Explorer just spotted. We don't have the foggiest idea where these peculiar objects are coming from or where they are going. However, what we do know is that we have seen nothing like them before. What are these puzzling items that were recently found by the Explorer? Join us today as we take apart these findings. Neil deGrasse Tyson's Explorer has identified 500 unknown objects passing by in space. For nearly 50 years, the Explorer has been cruising through the highways of space, investigating the profound realms that ground-based telescopes have been prohibited from seeing and revealing discoveries that leave our mouths wide open in shock. A result of the genius minds that stream in abundance at the Johns Hopkins Applied Physics Laboratory, the Explorer has been the brilliant courier to the unfamiliar domain of intergalactic space. This engineering masterpiece has opened our eyes to the amazing wonders that exist in our universe. In a recent development, Neil deGrasse Tyson has confirmed that the void has identified 500 unknown objects drifting calmly in space. This news came as a shock to the scientific community, shaking researchers as everyone began poring over the data acquired by the Explorer. Something peculiar was brewing, and settling this bubbling issue was a difficult puzzle that had stunned even the best of researchers. Since Neil deGrasse Tyson confirmed this discovery, various interpretations have been flying in the air, trying to sketch a distinctive picture that explains the mystery. Assuming that it had been another spacecraft that sent the sort of baffling data recently communicated from space, researchers might have questioned the legitimacy of the information. Anyway, it is the Explorer we are talking about here, the spacecraft that has been cruising through the hot ways of space for nearly 50 years now and has surpassed our expectations. Like a patient who beat malignant growth, the Explorer has surpassed researchers' expected lifespan of 3 years to spend over 45 years in space, uncovering history-making discoveries all the while. The most charming part about this famous story is that the Explorer is crafting this tale of overcoming adversity from an extremely far distance from Earth. The last time researchers checked, they saw that the spacecraft was 14.5 billion miles away from our planet, dashing endlessly in space with no sign that it would diminish its speed anytime soon. Analysts say that the spacecraft has been traveling at a rate multiple times the distance between the Earth and the Sun each year. This is one pill that researchers have found a bit difficult to swallow because, normally, one would expect the spacecraft's speed to have declined significantly given the longevity of its journey in space. Upon closer inspection, it seems the Explorer is bound to be the exception when it comes to such stories, and it has shown proof of this with its latest findings. It was just like any other day for researchers when the Explorer delivered exciting news to their desks, one that would stick in their memories for a long time. The Explorer had stumbled upon some mysterious objects passing by in space. This revelation was unplanned, which explains the initial confusion of astronomers when they reviewed data showing that around 500 unknown objects had appeared from nowhere. For a brief moment, we had hardly any insight into the existence of these objects. And the next moment, researchers were breaking their brains in search of a solution to this puzzle that nature had landed on their laps. Researchers were in a fix, and the blame could be traced to only one guilty party: the Explorer. Amusingly, researchers also knew that the solution to unraveling this mystery also lay on the heavy shoulders of the spacecraft. At first, when the news of this revelation broke out, some researchers considered the probability that it might have been a mistake. They thought that the age of the Explorer might be catching up with it, and thus it could be communicating incorrect data back to us. If we choose to follow this line of thought, it seems like a plausible explanation given the fact that the Explorer was launched as far back as 1977. That's nearly 50 years of active service for the benefit of mankind. One could expect the spacecraft's computers to have become exhausted and started to glitch, contracting in their duties and sending back low-quality information to the ground crew. As charming as this story sounds, researchers have advised that we shouldn't go there since it would be a slap on the sacrificial soul of the Explorer. Despite the harsh and unpredictable environment of space, the explorer has consistently produced educational data about our universe. Despite the rushed assumptions of skeptics, the spacecraft has maintained its long life thanks to its dual redundant computer systems. Like its twin, Explorer 2, Explorer 1 came equipped with 2 sets of command subsystems, flight data systems, FDS, and attitude and articulation control systems. This has been the secret power behind the spacecraft's solid fighting spirit when it comes to charting through space and revealing discoveries. The redundancy paved the way for seamless transitions between systems and the ability to activate dormant computer parts, thus preserving their lifespan. While designing Explorer 1, the engineers back on Earth devised a plan to help the spacecraft maximize efficiency. This required the disclosure reverberated through the hallways of scientific inquiry with seismic power. Neil deGrasse Tyson's pressing announcement resonated across the globe, punctuating a decade of meticulous investigation by Explorer 1. In the vast expanse of interstellar space, the spacecraft had stumbled upon an anomaly of significant magnitude. 500 mysterious entities, their origins. The craft's instruments rely on engineered logic. They were taking no chances in this area because they were constrained by time and power budget limitations. The electrical engineers decided the instruments would need to be developed using simplified systems that relied on hardware logic. Thus, the Explorer's computer systems contained 6 onboard computers organized as a distributed system with 3 dual redundant sets. Having overcome this obstacle, researchers had to face the next tall challenge: maintaining the systems. This daunting task was managed by devising an ongoing power management plan. Here's where it gets interesting. Power management involved supporting the operational capabilities of the Explorer's computer systems. If we are being honest, this is a tough task given the limited power resources available on board the spacecraft. It was like sending a hunter into the deep jungle to hunt wild animals with just a handful of cuts. Nonetheless, researchers found a way around this problem by developing measures to save and optimize power utilization on board the Explorer. A prime example of these power management measures that engineers came up with is the selective shutting down of non-essential systems. Specialists were forced into making this tough decision. Thus, they used a fundamental approach to identify and deactivate components or subsystems that are not crucial for the spacecraft's primary mission objectives. We see evidence of this when we look at heaters associated with certain instruments that had to be turned off. These heaters were originally designed to maintain the instruments at specific temperatures so they would perform optimally. Anyway, the story had to be rewritten because turning off these heaters greatly reduced power consumption on board the Explorer. This reduction in the spacecraft's power consumption has a ripple effect, an extension of the Explorer's lifespan. This is a win-win for everyone. We should also remember that the decision to shut down non-essential systems is not taken lightly. It is a planned action that requires careful evaluation of the trade-offs between power conservation and the scientific objectives of the spacecraft. Whenever such a decision was taken, all hands had to be on deck. Specialists and researchers had to sit together and assess the impact of deactivating specific systems on the quality and availability of scientific data. Emotions weren't at play here. It was strictly based on the facts at hand. The team was driven by the desire to maximize power efficiency while maintaining the essential functionality of the spacecraft so it could continue to gather valuable data about our universe undisturbed. Engineers and researchers alike wanted nothing to stand in the Explorer's way when it came to revealing the deep secrets locked away in the hidden realms of space. Secrets that the universe has been hiding from us for ages. Selective power reduction is not the only way that NASA engineers are keeping the Explorer afloat and operating optimally in space. They had another ace up their sleeves, which they had to deploy for the benefit of the spacecraft. Alongside researchers, the engineers had to come up with power management strategies that are adaptive to the ever-changing conditions of the spacecraft's environment. For example, as Explorer 1 travels farther away from the Sun, the available solar energy decreases. We would agree that this is a problem. However, the engineers came prepared as they compensated for this growing threat by ensuring that the spacecraft adjusted its power consumption accordingly. This adaptive approach is a triumph on the part of NASA engineers and researchers since it ensures that the available power resources are efficiently allocated to support the spacecraft's critical operations and data transfer back to Earth. Interestingly, the good news doesn't end here, as there have been ongoing technological advancements and upgrades in power management, which have allowed engineers to refine and enhance the power systems of the spacecraft over the years. A closer look at these developments would reveal that they include more efficient power distribution, improved battery charging methods, and advancements in power regulation and control. The implementation of well-thought-out and planned power management strategies has opened an exciting door for engineers. It has made it possible for specialists to extend the operational lifespan of the Explorer 1 craft alongside its twin, Explorer 2. This is a major victory for the academic community and the world at large. The careful allocation and management of power resources have equipped Explorer 1 with the essential strength needed to continue exploring the depths of the universe.